show you what I'm doing here today. One of the things I'm doing. So I'm hooking up the motor. I'm starting out with something easy, which is hooking up the steering cable. Hey guys, so I got the cable fed through and the cap on right here. And now I'm putting the steering arm. I'm going to tighten the bolt on the other side of this. And we'll see if it steers. Kind of boring stuff, guys, but I figure I'll just chronicle everything. I think a lot of this simple stuff sometimes just doesn't get talked about because a lot of channels just assume that you already know this stuff, you know. So while I'm in here setting up the steering, I'm moving the steering arm from the back hole right there to this front one, and the reason why is it'll give it a little more leverage at the steering wheel for moving this weight around. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of grinding here, guys. You can see the steering arm's kind of touching right here, so I'm probably going to grind this hole a little bit wider. All right. Gonna try this out here. You know, it's pretty stiff, but it's a long cable and it's probably pretty typical. Hydraulic steering would be ideal, and if I fall in love with this boat and keep it for a long time, I might put some C-Star hydraulic steering on it. But that's quite the investment, especially for the length. A couple grand, I'd guess. Okay, so now that I got the steering cable hooked up and it's working, I'm going to tackle the controls. And before I can do that, I have to clean up all this crap on the starboard side or the driver's side so I can run some cables inside the wall. So I'll do some cleaning up first and then we'll get to it. Next, I'm going to try to set up the controls on the motor side. So here are my cables that I just bought. I'm going to run them through here and hook them up to the throttle and the shift linkage. Let's do this together, guys. So I'm making sure that the ends are the same, so they're both the same cable, which it looks like they are. This one's got a little rubber tip on it, but I can take that off. It's just to save the threads. So I've confirmed that. So here's my bucket of little parts that I kept them all in the same place. It's, you know, common sense, but guys, if you're ever, you know, doing something like this, just bust out a bucket or a bag or something, mark it for what the parts are, and then just keep them all in the same place, because when you go to put it back together, it just makes things so much easier. Okay, you can see I fed the old cables in here, and these are the ends. Try to focus it here. These are the ends I'm looking for right here. Okay guys, so you can see now that I got the linkage hooked up for the new cables. I had to review my pictures, but I think I got it right. I got the block down to give it tension, and then this cap goes on and kind of sandwiches it together so that the cables can work inside the casing, so the whole casing doesn't slide, if that makes sense. They're definitely going to need some adjusting, but I understand how that works. So now we're going to move inside, and we're going to try to hook up the other side to the controls themselves. Okay guys, so you can see now that I need to hook up the other side of the new cables to the back of the controls here. These are the old ones I got to pull out still. While cleaning up in here, guys, I found this under the floor. A cassette tape, George Strait, Oceanfront Property. I remember that song. There's a lot of good songs on this. Holy cow. Okay, so I'll just show you here. I cleaned up this side. This is the starboard side, and I'm going to start running the cables and controls and harness and all that probably inside the wall here, but still not entirely sure how I'm going to do this yet. I'm going to kind of assess it, but it's coming along. I got it clean. While I got the camera running here, I'll show you this too. Looks like someone at one time slammed into something, broke this support and cracked the wall there, but that's going to be an easy fix, not a big deal. I opened up the control box here in the back. This is where the new cables, which I have up on the ceiling at the moment, are going to tie into. So I'm going to pull these old shorter ones out. I'm going to take some pictures to remind myself how this all goes back together. Okay, so you can see that I got the cables out of the control box. I still have to pull these ends off of the short ones and put it on there. Alright guys, so as I'm doing this, here's some advice I would give. Pretty much applies to anything you're doing. It's just kind of go slow. Really pay attention. I even turned off my podcast so I can focus more. Take pictures, close-ups, even some video if you have that option. And what I'm going to have to try to do is figure out which cable coming from the motor goes to the throttle and which one goes to the shift. So that won't be too hard. I know how I'm going to do it. But what I did is made myself a little space up here on the helm. And I'm going to pull these down, put the ends on, and just take my time. Okay, how I'm figuring out which cable is which. So here's my shift linkage going from forward, neutral, and reverse, and I put it in forward. I push that forward, and when I go up to the helm, that cable should be a little longer than the other one because it pushed it through. So let's see. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be this one because it's longer, but I'm going to double check before I do this, go back, put it in neutral, and see if it goes back down. Okay, just put it in neutral, I believe. Okay. And there we go. Same length again, so I know that that is the shift. Okay guys, so I got the new longer cables button up in the back. I'm not sure if they're adjusted properly. I'm going to have to take this off again. But I put it on so the cables would stay in place because this cover kind of keeps them pinched together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I don't know if I can do this with one hand, I might be able to. I'm going to put it, so right now it should be in neutral. And I did check in the back and it is in neutral and the throttle is on idle. So now I'm going to clunk it forward, and let's say I was going like 3/4 throttle right now. Let's go see what it's doing back here on the motor. Okay, what is it doing on the motor? It looks like it's up in 3/4 or something close. And is it in forward? It is. Okay, so that works. Let's see if it goes back into neutral, and then see if it goes in reverse. Okay, clunkety clunk. All right, go check it again. Just something you gotta do, guys. Kind of tedious work. Okay, so it looks like it's back in neutral, and it looks like it's back in idle mode. Okay, clunkety clunk, reverse. Okay, so it does have a little bit of idle, which is good. You don't want it to go full bore in reverse, and it does look like it's in reverse mode. Okay guys, well now the next step is going to be to figure out where to mount this. I know a lot of people put them down there by their knees, and that might be a good spot after I get the wall on. I'm going to redo this a little bit. Might work with some of what I got there, but it's definitely going to be revamped a little. The steering wheel is going to come up a little. It's just too low for midgets. I might also mount it up here because, like, you know, I'm standing a lot. I'll be standing looking at the vacuum cleaner, or probably a scooter and the scenery. And you know, here's the controls right here. So steering wheel is going to be up a little bit more, maybe right here. Then you got the controls up here, as opposed to leaning down. I mean, I suppose that if you're sitting, it maybe make more sense down there. But you know, something. I'll figure it out. It's going to be in a good spot. I can always move it around a little bit because I got extra long cables. I got some. They're not maxed out to their fullest length, so that's good. 24 footers on this one. Another thing to consider, guys, right now what I'm doing is I'm turning the steering wheel both directions as far as I can, and I'm checking to see how much the cables are being stretched. You don't want too much stress put on these, and unfortunately the way this boat is set up, it's kind of hard to get a direct route to the motor. I'm having to come through the body over there, and then it's making a corner, and then it's coming right here, and it's making another corner. So looks like when it's tilted that way, you know, it's going to have some pressure. I mean, it's not very often that you have to fully crank the boat one way or another. I mean, it'll do it. Looks like it'll do it, but let me try the other direction, see what happens here. So now hydraulic steering would be ideal, of course. If anybody wants to donate a couple $1,000s worth of hydraulic steering to the Beagle barge, let me know. Yeah, that's fine. There's hardly any pressure on that one, so I'll crawl down in the bottom and look back under here and see as well, but looks okay. Okay guys, so I think I'm ready to water test the Beagle barge. Let me turn the phone around and show you how I have it temporarily set up for the controls. Okay, so I just zip tied the controls here for now to kind of keep this up. You know, I don't need to mount it yet because I gotta wait till the wall's done, but got the harness extension plugged in, and I'm so happy about this, and I'm so surprised at the same time that everything just kind of turned out the right length. Just a little bit of extra, which is fine, and it's what you need. But there isn't like several feet of too much cable or extension, and yet it's not stretched or just barely making it, or not making it would be the worst. So everything's just kind of came out just right. Well, hey guys, it's next day, Sunday, and we are going to see what this thing does in the water. I wish I had some help today, but I've launched and handled bigger boats than this. If you guys look back on my channel, or if you remember, the Mothership was probably the biggest boat that I've ever had, and I was able to launch and retrieve that by myself, so I think I can do this one today. But let me turn the phone around. I got a couple things I'm going to show you. Well, one challenge I'm seeing right away is there's not a lot of places to put bumpers. There's that spot, of course, and then way down here, about 25 feet or more, there's another place, but there's no central cleat, which I had this problem with the Shanty Beagle also. And what I ended up doing, if you guys watched that, or if you remember, I had a cleat on the inside of the window, and I could open the window and then I could flop it out, a bumper, and it would be mid-ship. So it looks like I'm going to have to do something like that to this one. Okay guys, I'm going to see if she starts up again. Okay guys, well, coming to life here. Okay, you can see here that I'm having to really back my truck deep into the water, and to get it off the trailer, well, we'll see how this goes, but it is floating right now, so I'm going to pull the trailer out from underneath it. Okay guys, well, I got her off the trailer. This is the first time I've seen the trailer without the boat on it. This is the first time I've floated this boat, believe it or not. I'm going to pull it up and tighten it to the dock a little better here, and I'm going to have to use both hands. Alright guys, so we're floating, and I've been looking around. I'm not seeing any water under the floor. I'm going to do a double check here, but she's floating. Let's see what happens. Let's take her out in the river. Not seeing any water under the floor. I think that's probably normal. It's like a basin. I know the Shanty Beagle had that, so. Okay, we're underway. She does go in reverse, and I can power up in reverse a little bit, which is good. I might have to, I'm probably gonna have to be adjusting this linkage, but I am going forward, and I can definitely tell I'm gonna have to adjust the linkage for forward, because I have to go almost all the way down to get it to get any sort of throttle, so that's okay. I would have been amazed if I didn't have to do that, so. Now I'm just basically idling. Now I'm not going to find this out right now, but I am wondering if the barge will fit under the trestle there, but I'm going to make sure she's running really good in case it's really close and I have to back it off, and so. But I'm going to get up close to it at least and just kind of eyeball it. Okay guys, well, the Beagle's disapproving. She's in a bad mood today. I'm not sure why. Eating too much McDonald's dog food, I think. But yeah, check this out. We are floating. I have an anchor out right now. The battery cable is too short, and I was wondering why I couldn't steer completely in one direction, and it was because it was binding up. It's just little stuff like that that's going to happen. I'm going to have to put longer. Yeah, I put the battery inside here and I ran it through the back, and then it was you can see here I did give it a little more slack, so I think it'll be okay to get back in, but I'm going to have to make it longer if I want to have the battery inside, which I think I do. Probably going to put it back in here in the bathroom. And there's the trestle. Well guys, I'm going to try to give you like a little line of sight here on the roof and the trestle. If it does fit under, it's going to be so close. Like if the river went up a foot while I was above it, I'd be trapped upriver. Alright guys, we're going to go out to the mouth of the river at least, and I picked up speed a little bit, got out of the no wake zone, and the motor, it actually runs better when I pick up the RPMs. I'm just guessing I'm doing like 3,000 RPMs and maybe 6 or 7 knots, is my guess. What do you think? Okay, so I'm hitting a little bit of rollers. I mean, really small half-footers probably, just nothing. But kind of getting to feel what the hull does when you hit a little bit of waves. And it seems to be handling it. Let's see, we'll get a little example here. There we go. Okay guys, so I opened her up Can't go back here very long because I also got a steer, but seems to run pretty good and float good. Alright guys, so got it back on the dock, and I'm going to see how hard it is to put back on the trailer without that winch, but we'll do it. Are you going to help? Well guys, that went a lot easier and better than I was expecting. It really wasn't that hard. I just put the boat at the end of the dock. I picked the longest dock we have, and I got it at the edge, which you saw in the video there, and then I just kept backing the trailer underneath it. Got it where it's almost all the way on. Then I'll turn the phone around and I'll show you what I did to keep it on the trailer when I'm pulling it out of the water. Okay, so I tied this rope, and I just took a guess of how much tension it's going to need, and I guess I guessed correctly. And I tied it to the worn out old tongue jack, and then it held on to it when I was slowly letting the boat drop onto the trailer as it comes out of the water, if that makes sense. So a little bit of luck and just going slow. Piece of cake. All right, well, I'm just debating whether I want to put it back in my corner here at the marina and just come over here when I feel like it and work on it like I did with the Shanty Beagle, which has its pros and cons, or if I want to tow it back to my house, and it's always kind of there if I get an hour or two to kind of work on stuff, which has its pros and cons too. It takes up a lot of room in my house there on the beach, but I'll figure this out, and I think that's enough to make a video, guys. We got a lot done. I have to do some adjustments on the throttle to get full power, but I think I'm getting like 2/3 right now, but that's fine. I did open it up out on the river once, and I'm guessing I probably got it up to about 10 miles an hour, which is plenty, you know, but I'll bet you as it's tuned up, and you know, it might see 12, so that's pretty darn fast for something this big. It's nice and stable, no leaks. I'm happy. I think we're going to continue this forward. Okay guys, enough yapping. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.